Hey everybody, so today's the next day. You saw me in the video last time, uh, showing you about chickens and kind of like the basic stuff that we're doing now. Um, well, I got a phone call this morning. It was the post office. They woke me up, and guess what? We are getting more Cornish cross chickens, which we refer to as meat birds. So I'm gonna go in the post office. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm gonna go get it. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and hopefully this works, and hopefully I could edit it and it's not going to be a long portion of you just looking at a post office, because that would be funny. Uh-oh. Still getting used to the whole camera thing. Hang on one second. Alright. Probably should lock the door, too. Give me a minute. This is how they come. Hopefully I can figure out how to edit these things and that just didn't look stupid where I put the camera in here, started it, closed the door, and then opened the door. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it my best and see what I can do with this thing. But these are the chicks. They're supposed to be 65 in here. I'm gonna take them back and then we're gonna put them in the brooder, turn the lights on, give them some water, and I'll show you how I do that. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, still driving. Just a thought in my head. One of the noises that I absolutely love doing this farming thing are baby chicks. I went to a box store the other day, for local farmers. I'm not going to mention them because they take a lot of my money and, it is what it is. But I bought 25 chicks from them. I heard peeping. I go in there, I always hear peeping. That kind of gets my blood boiling. And I saw they were discounted chicks. So I got 10 Cornish cross that were at least 2 to 3 weeks old. And I'm going to put them in the batch that I have in the back here. And those will be the bigger chickens as they grow. And what I'm going to do with those is probably when I butcher them, they're going to be just cuts. Breasts, thighs, legs, that kind of thing. Because they'll be bigger portions. The other birds we like to sell whole. I've never sold one yet. Well, I've sold live ones, but I haven't sold butchered ones. We did buy a few last year and raised them and butchered them for ourselves. It's not a fairly complicated process to butcher a chicken. I did buy some equipment going into this. This is a new enterprise for us. And I don't know if I said it in the video last or not, but my plan is to butcher every month and have fresh chickens every month. The first one's kind of a trial being out on pasture, and I want to see how long it takes them to get 4.5 to 5 pounds. That's going to be our butcher range. And I think that's a good size for broiler chicks. We are going to sell them whole. They're going to be in shrink wrap bags. But if I could get a few more bigger ones, then I will put them as cuts. So if you just wanted like chicken breast or legs or thighs or whatever, that's how we're gonna do it. But yeah. So anyway, I bought those 10 chicks. They were 50 cents each. Couldn't really pass that up at 50 cents each. The broilers that I have in the back, if you order, I think it's more than 55 or 50, I get them for $1.78 a piece. So you times that plus shipping, it's roughly $138, $140 for the shipment of birds. Then you got to add the food in, and depending on what kind of food you get, organic, non-organic. I go to a small Amish feed producer, and it's non-organic feed. So I'm not going to sell them as organic. They were organically raised to the point where I didn't give them any kind of solutions. I didn't give them any kind of probiotic. I didn't give them anything that wouldn't come from natural chicken. The only thing, the feed, I'm assuming is GMO, genetically modified organism, which mostly everything around us and all the food are. At this point in time, I can't really justify buying organic feed for them because it's twice as much. So, and to keep prices at a good price for the consumer and a good price for me, it has to be non-organic food. It is what it is. But we do raise them out in pasture. They're eating bugs. They're running around. They're eating grass. They're doing chicken things. I do give them the chicken Gatorade. All that is electrolytes, and that's the first thing that I give them. Just because they're hydrated. They were hatched when you get the chicks in the mail. They were hatched the day before. The hatchery puts them in the box and they ship them. Usually overnight, and that's why shipping costs so much. But chicks will last a day or two with no food or water, and that's how we're able to pick them up in the mail. But I like to get them as soon as I can and get some water and electrolytes in them just so they rehydrate. Ends in our eggs, it's all free ranged. We do give them feed, a supplemental feed, and you know it when they're out because they attack. We have attack chickens, so don't be coming in my yard thinking, oh, petty chicken. No, they'll attack you. And we have ducks. I think in the other video you saw me open the coop and they just kind of come flooding out. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, all right, my last rant until I'm back. All right. You didn't ride back there. You were with me and you heard my whole rant. So hopefully I could edit this again and you don't see me putting the phone in here, starting it, closing the door, and opening the door. But I thought this would be a kind of cool shot because this is what I enjoy. So, ready? So I got the chicks here. Here we go. I have a selfie stick. I think what I'm going to do is get one of those tripods so it can hold the phone. You kind of in the bedding right now, and I put you on the empty feeder. So here we go. Here's one, and what I do is just I take the bird. See how small that guy is? This is going to be 5 pounds roughly in 8 weeks. Isn't that crazy? Dip their beaks so they know where it's at. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like this is a little high for them. So what I'm going to do is just put it right down here. So it's a little bit easier for them to get to. I usually don't like putting this down in the bedding because the birds will kick up the bedding. And that one's pecking my camera. I don't know. You can't see it. A little fluffy butt right there. Look at this one. Eerie position. How many was that? 6. So, like I said, sometimes they send you extra. We got 66. The order was 65. So I think that's a make of a good hatchery to account for mortality. They are shipped via post, so the chances of someone dying or are very great. So it's a good hatchery that are sending extra. Look at these little dudes. Probably a little over 24 hours old. They're tiny compared to all the other chicks. They're pecking. All right, let's see here. I want to see if I can find a good one. One of the smaller ones. I just want to show you. This might be a good one. So let's see if I could. I don't know. I mean, this is a phone. We'll see. But at the end of their beak, you could tell if you look at a chick, or you can look it up. But they have what's called like an egg tooth, I think. And it's a little extra, little bit on the end of their beak. And what they use that for is when they are hatching, they peck at the inside of the egg. And that's what helps them get out. So any kind of bird that, well, every bird is laid from an egg, as far as I know. There might be some weird stuff in Australia, but they all have that little egg tooth. Pokes them through the egg and helps them get out. So pretty sure dinosaurs had that too. My oldest, we call these dinosaurs. They're baby T-Rexes, so it's kind of fun, and he's a dinosaur fanatic, and to have this many birds, he absolutely loves it. I realize I say so and a lot, and I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm new to this and filming what I'm doing. Usually I just get up and go. I don't even think about filming, and hopefully this will probably be a second video, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, the second one's better than the first one. Look at these little dudes. Okie doke. You guys are on a four-wheeler right now, by the way. Like I said, I don't have tripods. I don't have fancy cameras, so things are going to be shaky. First time doing it. This is not really like a how-to video. It's more or less, this is what we're doing, and this is what works for us. So, if I don't know how it works, and I know people leave comments on YouTube. I'm not a negative person, so any kind of like negative stuff, I'm not gonna have it. Just the way it is. So, positive. We're positive. We're trying to do the healthy thing for the animals, the best we could do at our price range that we could afford. So, I know there's better feeds, there's better water, there's better this, there's better that. I get it, but this is what we're doing that works for us and that we have been doing. So bear with me. Any negative comments, don't even lay it. So we're all good here, okay? And feed bags, they usually come with this awesome little zip tie, so you don't have to pull your knife out. That's the other thing. When you're a farmer and you're starting out, always have a knife on you. I have knives, I break them, I lose them, so a good cheap knife is just as good as an expensive knife. I've had expensive knives and I lose them. They usually, the pocket clip connects to like turkey netting or something like that, and I left one out, it got stuck, and we didn't find it. It went through the whole entire winter, and then it was outside, and the guy that housed it, his name's John, we'll call him Mr. John. He was out there weed whacking the fence line, and he found it. I said, Mike, is this your knife? It says Kershaw. I carried a Kershaw knife. Lovely knife. Yeah, that was mine. So just like sunglasses, I keep cheap sunglasses because I'm either A, going to lose them or we're going to break them. It is what it is. So with knives, I try to get a little bit higher than medium of the road. Something that's a little heavy, but it's sharp, because I'm going to break it or lose it. It is what it is. So I'm not really a brand shopper. I just want to do its functional for me. So anyway, with the crumble, these are crumbles. See how it's like, it's not, pellets are like essentially smaller powder or mash that's compressed, and it's these little pellets that are like this long, and they're like tubular. A cylinder, I know my shapes. So these are crumbles, and this is what works well for the baby chicks. So what I'm gonna do, fill up the feeder. I always drop stuff, and we have roosters that we got from the park. Somebody dumped them, and they asked if we wanted them, so we ended up taking them. And what I do with those, they're free range. So whatever's out and about, they're eating. They like to hang out with our pigs because they know there's food available. They'll come up here, they'll peck the little droppings that I get. They'll go out and they'll eat bugs. They'll go over to the layer hens and they'll poach off their food and their water. So they're pretty much good to go. And that's my first time trying to free range poultry, and it's these roosters. So the thoughts for me is when we get our cattle, and this is something I want to do, is put a pasture hen coop out to follow the cattle. And my thought behind that and doing research, if you're getting into farming, I recommend looking up Joel Salatin, who I kind of modeled myself around and what I'm doing here. He's organic. I don't know if he's certified. I don't know. It's hard to certify as organic. It's expensive. I'm not, we use organic principles. We raise them organic. But what his thought was is when you have your cattle out, and you're moving your cattle every day as you should, and you're setting small paddocks, you're intensive grazing, and I showed you with the goats the other day how we had smaller paddocks. and they're going to graze out there for a week or so, and then we're going to move them. Goats are different than cows. They don't eat as much, so we give them a little bit bigger pasture. They like to wander around a little bit and do goat things. When we get our cattle, we're going to intensive graze and try to move it every day. So we're getting 4 steers coming up in September. And what I want to do is take our hen house that we have out in the pasture right now that's not unused, and I want to have a small flock out there just to follow the cows. And the thought behind that was any kind of herd animal or grazing animal. I like to think it in the terms of buffalo. With buffalo, you had a herd that started in the West or in the Great Plains. They'd come in, they'd eat, and they'd move, and they'd eat, and they move. They poop, they eat, they move, they poop, they move, they eat, they poop. And then the prairie birds would follow along because when they poop, flies and all the larvae come, and those birds peck at it. And what they're doing is essentially sanitizing the fields behind the cows or behind the buffalo. And when that happens, that reduces the amount of flies and bugs that are in the area, and they're essentially cleaning. And then not only are they doing that, but they're also pooping. So chicken poop has higher nitrogen count than, say, like cow poop, and that fertilizes, and you have a mixture of fertilization. My head's on chickens, but you have a different balance of fertilizer in that field. So we try to mimic that here as much as we can. Obviously, we don't have the roaming range of buffalo, so we have to mimic it with smaller paddocks and moving our animals, and then we put a different animal, so it's biodiversity out on the field. So you have goats, and you have chickens. You have cows, and you're going to have the chickens. We are going to try to raise the cows with the goats as much as possible, so A, they're used to each other, B, you have that biodiversity, and they, it's all, we're trying to make harmony here, just like you would in the wild. So that's kind of what we're going to do in the plans. That's our future plans. But biodiversity, I'm big on. We don't spray chemicals. We don't spread any kind of chemicals on our fields. It's all manure. And the only thing that I want to do is get some lime, put it out here, because I've noticed that our fields have higher weed count. We did spread manure out on the main pasture, and we reduced our weeds probably by 65%. The only reason why I know that, or how I know that, is from last year to this year, the main field is mostly weeds. And what we have here, the weed, is wing stem, and that's related to Jerusalem artichoke. Same kind of looking plant. You have the stem, and you have wings coming off the stem, and then you have the leaves. So last year, our pasture was primarily wing stem, and that's an invasive species, and it just kind of naturally comes up. But what we did this year is, before the grass started growing, we spread manure. I actually cleaned the chicken coop and put the hot manure in the spreader, and we spread that too. Not really supposed to do that with flowers and plants or gardens, but we have grass, and the animals, we moved them off pasture, and the only thing we have out here now is our meat birds. We don't have any mammals. We don't have any grazers. So we're going to let it rest. We did that, and I noticed that the lack of wing stem is about 65%. So if you took a square, say you took an acre, and you just kind of eyeball it and you judge it, and I said, hey, that looks like we're about 65% less wing stem in this field. Some things I'm scientific on, some things I aren't. I eyeball a lot of things. I go on gut feeling. I go on what I feel is right. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to get this into those birds. I've been talking a lot. All right.